Hello, comrades. I can't but notice something. The American left, or at least American liberals, I should say, talk about right wing lies, especially when they come from Donald Trump, who admittedly is the man who got his political start saying that he sent investigators to Hawaii to look into Barack Obama's birth certificate, when he had in fact sent no such investigators. Liberals talk about how Mexico never paid for the wall, which Trump never built, and how he never reformed healthcare. Liberals talk about how Trump was convicted of fraud. Liberals talk about how he was found liable for defamation when he claimed to have never raped E. Jean Carroll. Liberals talk about how Trump lied about ending the war in Ukraine in a single day. So why, if liberals are so quick to notice Trump's lies, do they ignore the lies from the American left, from American liberals? When Stephen Colbert gets up on a national platform, a national stage, after a political assassination, and he says, "This is not who we are," why are liberals so quick to ignore the lie? That is what they say. I mean, that we are not a nation of political violence. But of course, we are a nation of political violence. There is no state without violence, and the US is not a remarkably pacifist state among the nations of the world. We are a country with 250 years of history and less than 20 years of peace. Is that not political violence? Or does it stop being political when politicians cause the violence? But maybe to be fair, when they say political violence, maybe they mean violence outside of our system of laws. But we are not a nation that respects laws when it comes to political violence. We are a country that wages wars without declaring war, like in Iraq and Vietnam, a country that topples foreign governments, like Libya and Panama, a country that tortures people in illegally occupied military bases in Cuba. The United States does not respect our own treaties enough to give the First Nations the land legally granted to them, like Mount Rushmore, which, by our own treaties and the constitutional imperative to respect those treaties, is legally the land of the Sioux Nation. We, the United States that is, are a nation founded in a revolution that can't stop erecting monuments to the Confederates who tried to fight another revolution against us just to uphold the institution of slavery. This is a country built on war, slavery, and colonialism. A nation that has committed war crimes, sent people to concentration camps without due process because of their ethnicity, and does not respect international law. Maybe when they say that we are not a nation of political violence, they mean that we are a nation where individuals do not commit political violence. But I do have to wonder, though, what about the 40% of cops who commit domestic violence isn't political? Is that not a supposedly illegal act of violence that is baked into the fabric of who we are? Is it not part of our institutions? And what about the thousands of gun deaths in the US that occur every year, while funding to look into prevention and causes of gun deaths is denied by Congress? What about that is not political? What about the more than 1,000 people murdered by cops every year is not political? Now, Chuck Schumer said that it was a moment for the country to grieve when they shot Charlie Kirk. My question is, if we are to grieve the death of Charlie Kirk as a nation, why do we not grieve all other political violence in this country? It seems like violence is only deemed political, only deemed worthy of our grief when it's against certain people. And this is a lie, that some violence in this country is political, while all that other violence isn't. It's a lie designed to push us to ignore the majority of political violence in this country, while we grieve only a small fraction of it. We grieve the occasional assassination of a politician or notable figure, but ignore the war crimes. Political violence goes back to the founding of our country. Thomas Jefferson, notable human trafficker, even said, "The tree of liberty must be refreshed from time to time with the blood of patriots and tyrants." Now I see two paths forward. We can strive for a world without political violence, Or we can look around and ask who the tyrants are and who the patriots who are going to spill their blood. Now, for the answer to that question of which path is the path forward, I think you have to look into your heart and try to imagine a future. And if you could imagine this country without political violence. Because if you can, I think it's worth striving for. But if you can't, I guess we have to ask ourselves who the tyrants are. Good night, good day, good potato.